All right, so pandemic preparedness. It's something we all think about after after COVID.
Yeah.
Like what can we do? How can we be ready for the next one, right? And experts are saying that there's a good chance, like a 1 in 4 chance, that we see another pandemic, like a COVID scale pandemic this decade.
Yeah. It's a pretty sobering thought. I mean, COVID really showed us, I think, you know, how vulnerable we are to these kinds of threats.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what we're looking into in this deep dive. And
Okay.
seeing if AI can actually help us out here. Can it help us prevent something like that from happening again?
Yeah.
And we've got research, we've got opinions from experts all about AI and how it can.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. People are using it to, like,
Yeah.
find early warning signs and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Predict how viruses will mutate, even speed up, like treatments and stuff.
It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie in a good way.
Yeah.
So first up, there's this project where they're using AI to go through 2.3 billion tweets.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
That's a lot of tweets.
That's a lot.
Yeah, researchers at UC Irvine and UCLA, they're using AI to go through all that social media data.
Okay, so
The
then,
fonts.
hold on. How does that even work? Like, is the AI really reading billions of tweets?
So it's not really about reading in the way we think of it, like understanding every single word. It's more about patterns. So they train this AI on like huge data sets of past outbreaks.
Right.
And it learns to spot these like little changes in online chatter that could, be a sign of something bigger.
So, like, if people start tweeting about, like, I don't know, weird symptoms or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Shortages of medicines.
Yeah, like that. And
Yeah.
the AI picks up on that.
That's the idea,
Right.
to catch those things early before it's too late.
Wow. So it's almost like it's giving us a heads up, right?
You could say that. It's more data, more information to help us, make better decisions.
Right, to be proactive.
Exactly.
That makes sense. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive. Speaking of which, there's another AI tool we need to talk about, one that's tackling the challenge of virus mutations.
And this one is particularly intriguing because it's already demonstrating incredible accuracy. It's called Eavescape.
Leavescape. Okay, that definitely sounds like something out of a futuristic medical thriller.
It does have a certain ring to it, doesn't it? But what's even more impressive than its name is what it can do. Eavescape is designed to predict how viruses, especially those with pandemic potential, might mutate.
Okay, so we're talking about getting ahead of those curveballs that viruses like to throw at us. That feels like a game changer.
It has the potential to be. You see, viruses are constantly changing, which makes it incredibly difficult to develop effective vaccines and treatments. Eavescape is trying to give us a head start by predicting these mutations, sometimes even a year in advance.
A year? Seriously, that's incredible. But how accurate are we talking here?
That's the remarkable part. It's already proving itself. It's accurately predicted new variants of COVID-19, as well as those of HIV and influenza.
So this isn't just some theoretical what if, it's the real deal. We're actually at a point where we can predict how viruses will mutate. What are the implications of that?
The implications are huge. Imagine having a year's notice before a new variant emerges. That kind of lead time would allow us to adapt vaccines or develop new treatments proactively, potentially saving countless lives. It could revolutionize how we approach pandemic preparedness.
That's amazing. It's like having a secret weapon in the fight against infectious diseases.
It's definitely a powerful tool. And the applications go beyond just predicting the next pandemic. Think about ongoing battles against existing viruses like HIV. Eavescape is providing valuable insights there as well.
This is incredible, but how does it actually work? What's the science behind these predictions?
It's all about machine learning. Eavescape analyzes massive data sets of viral genetic information, looking for patterns and trends in how viruses have mutated in the past. By understanding those patterns, it can make educated guesses about how they might evolve in the future.
So it's like it's seen all the viral moves before and can anticipate the next step.
You could say that, and the more data it's fed, the more accurate it becomes.
It's mind-blowing to think about how far we've come. We're really entering a new era of medicine. And speaking of groundbreaking advancements, we have to talk about how AI is being used to accelerate antibody discovery.
This is another area where AI is showing tremendous promise. Antibodies, those proteins our bodies produce to fight off infections, are essential for vaccine development. Finding the right antibodies, however, those that can effectively target and neutralize a specific virus, has traditionally been a time-consuming process.
Right, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But you're saying AI is changing that.
Exactly. Companies like AstraZeneca are now using AI to speed up the antibody identification process significantly.
AstraZeneca, as in the pharmaceutical company that played a major role in the COVID-19 vaccines.
That's the one. They've been at the forefront of integrating AI into their research and development.
So how much faster are we talking about here?
We're not talking about shaving off a few days. Think more along the lines of reducing the time it takes to identify promising antibody candidates from 3 months to just 3 days.
3 days. You're kidding. That's an incredible leap forward.
It's a complete game changer, especially when you're dealing with a rapidly mutating virus. Being able to develop treatments at that speed could dramatically change the course of the pandemic.
It's like going from a bicycle to a spaceship in terms of speed. This is incredibly exciting, but I imagine there are still challenges to overcome.
There always are. And that's where organizations like CEPI come in to provide a dose of reality and ensure we're approaching this new technology with a balanced perspective.
CEPI. Remind me what that stands for again.
It stands for the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. They're a global partnership that played a crucial role in funding the development of COVID-19 vaccines. They're taking a cautious but optimistic view of AI's potential in pandemic preparedness.
Okay, so they're not jumping on the AI bandwagon without some careful consideration.
Exactly. They recognize the potential of AI to revolutionize how to prepare for and respond to pandemics, but they're also quick to point out that it's not a silver bullet.
So no magic solutions. Got it. What are some of the things CPI is emphasizing as we venture into this new territory?
One of their key points is that AI is only as good as the data it's fed. If the AI is trained on incomplete or inaccurate data, its predictions and recommendations will reflect that. It's crucial to ensure we're using high-quality data.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say. We can't expect reliable results if we're not feeding the AI accurate and comprehensive information.
Precisely. And CEPI also emphasizes that AI, at least for now and the foreseeable future, is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment. One of their experts put it this way: AI is a tool. It's up to people to determine where to apply it.
It's a good reminder that even with all this incredible technology, it still comes down to human expertise and decision-making. We need scientists and public health experts to interpret the data, make informed decisions, and guide the use of these tools effectively.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical aspects. It's about ensuring ethical considerations, addressing potential biases, and using AI responsibly.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider as we integrate AI into pandemic preparedness. But we can't ignore the potential benefits, especially when it comes to staying ahead of misinformation. And that's where the WHO comes in with some valuable insights. The WHO, you mean the World Health Organization, they definitely have a big role to play when it comes to global health.
Absolutely. And they're looking closely at how AI can both help and potentially hurt our efforts in pandemic preparedness.
So where do they stand on all of this? Are they pro-AI, or are they approaching it with a healthy dose of caution?
I'd say it's a cautious optimism. They see the value of AI in things like monitoring online conversations, for example.
Like those early warning signs we talked about earlier, but on a much larger scale.
Precisely. AI can analyze massive amounts of data from news articles, social media, online forums all over the world, looking for those early indicators of a potential outbreak or a new health threat that might be emerging.
It's amazing to think that we have the technology to potentially track these things on a global scale now.
It is. And it's not just about identifying outbreaks. It's also about monitoring how information, accurate or not, spreads during a potential health crisis.
Right, because the internet can be a breeding ground for misinformation, especially when people are scared and uncertain.
Unfortunately, you're right. But here's where AI can be incredibly valuable. The WHO is exploring how AI can help quickly identify and flag potentially harmful or misleading information. This can allow for a faster and more effective response to counteract that misinformation.
That feels so relevant today. Even when we're not in the midst of a pandemic, we see how quickly misinformation can spread online.
It's a constant challenge. But the WHO also reminds us that AI is not a perfect solution. One thing they stress is that AI can actually amplify existing biases if we're not very careful about how we're using it.
Right, back to the garbage in, garbage out problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One WHO expert said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that AI isn't going to make decisions for us. We, humans, are still the ones in control. It's our responsibility to make sure that these systems are developed and used responsibly and ethically.
It's a good reality check. We can have all of this incredible technology at our fingertips, but it still comes down to human judgment and making responsible choices.
It really does. And maybe even more importantly, it comes down to global cooperation and trust. We need to be able to share information openly and work together effectively.
which, let's be honest, can feel a bit shaky in today's world.
That's a fair point. But as we saw with COVID-19, pandemics don't care about borders. Our efforts to prepare for and prevent them shouldn't either.
So, where does this leave us? What's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think it's a mix of cautious optimism and a renewed sense of urgency. The technology is advancing rapidly, which is exciting, but it's not enough. We also need to strengthen our global health infrastructure, improve data sharing between nations, and really focus on building trust.
So it's like having all the best tools in the world but not knowing how to use them, or even worse, not trusting the people who are supposed to be using them.
A perfect analogy, we need both. The cutting-edge technology and the human systems to make it work effectively.
And if we manage to do that, what does the future hold?
If we get this right, we have a real chance not only to be better prepared for the next pandemic, but to actually create a healthier, more equitable world for everyone.
Now, that's a future worth striving for. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into AI and pandemic preparedness, what's the one question we should all be asking ourselves?
The question that sticks with me is this. The technology is evolving at lightning speed, but will our ability to cooperate, to trust each other, to make ethical decisions, will those things evolve fast enough to keep pace?
That's a powerful question to ponder. AI might be able to give us a glimpse into the future of pandemics, but ultimately, it's up to us to decide what we do with that knowledge. And on that note, we'll leave you to think about that. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and stay curious.